Here's something nobody tells you. Your brain, right now, today, is actively working against your finances. Not because you're bad with money, not because you don't earn enough, but because the brain you're using to manage money in 2026 was built for a completely different world. We have to adapt, and in today's video we will talk all about that. I'm Alex, remember to comment what you think and subscribe. Alright, let's start with the one that's probably costing you the most money right now. Quick thing I want you to think about. When was the last time you bought something, felt genuinely excited about it, and then 2 weeks later it's just sitting there and you feel absolutely nothing about it? Yeah, that happens to everyone. And it's not because you made a bad choice, it's because of how dopamine actually works. And I promise this is more interesting than it sounds. Most people think dopamine is the feeling good chemical, like your brain releases it when something nice happens. But that's not quite right. Dopamine fires when you anticipate something good. The wanting, not the having. So the moment you see something you want, new phone, new trainers, whatever it is, your brain floods with it. You feel excited, motivated, almost like you need it. And then you buy it. And the dopamine, gone. Because the wanting is over. What's left is just a thing on a shelf. Now here's where it gets genuinely wild. Online shopping's basically a dopamine machine. You get a hit when you browse, another hit when you add something to your cart, another one when you click buy. And the thing hasn't even arrived yet. By the time it shows up at your door, your brain has already moved on to the next thing to want. And the company's selling you stuff. They've known this for years. Every countdown timer, every only 2 left in stock, every notification telling you your cart is about to expire. All of it is designed to trigger that wanting feeling before your rational brain has a chance to ask, do I actually need this? You're not weak, you're not impulsive, you're just human. And they've studied humans very carefully. So what do you actually do about it? Here's the thing, you can't turn off dopamine, and you shouldn't try. What you can do is redirect it. Instead of getting dopamine from buying things, get it from building things. Seriously, set a savings milestone. Put a progress bar somewhere you can see it. Watch the number go up. Your brain will start firing for that, the same way it fires for adding to a cart. It sounds almost too simple. But it genuinely works because you're using the same system, just pointing it in a different direction. The other thing that helps a lot, and I've used this myself, is putting friction between you and spending. Delete the apps, remove the saved card details, make the path to buying longer. Not impossible, just longer. Because that 30-second delay is often all your rational brain needs to catch up and say, actually, no. There's something else I want to come back to later that connects to all of this. Because dopamine is only part of the story. The deeper thing, the one that really surprised me when I first looked into it, is what your brain does with other people's money. Specifically, what it does when you see other people spending it. We'll get there, but first, the thing that's probably draining more money from your account each month than anything else. Have you ever gone to a shop for one thing and come out with 6? Not because you're irresponsible, because there are people whose entire career is figuring out how to make that happen to you. These are called spending triggers, and once you know what they are, you start seeing them absolutely everywhere. There are 3 main ones worth knowing about. The first is emotional spending, and this one is sneaky because it doesn't feel like spending. It feels like coping. Stressed at work, something in your brain says buy something, you deserve it. Bored on a Sunday afternoon? Suddenly you're browsing. Lonely? Your phone is already open. Your brain learned somewhere along the way that buying something makes a difficult feeling go away. Just temporarily. But enough. And over time that becomes automatic. You feel bad, and before you've even consciously registered the feeling, you're in a checkout screen. The second trigger is the environment you're shopping in. And I don't just mean online. Every physical shop you walk into has been designed at a level of detail that would honestly surprise you, to maximize what you spend. The essentials are always at the back, so you have to walk past everything else to get there. The items at eye level are the ones with the highest margins. The checkout queue is lined with small, cheap things specifically because your decision-making's most tired after you've already been shopping for 20 minutes. And the smell. This one gets me every time. There's actual research showing certain scents increase how long people stay in a store and how much they spend while they're there. that warm bread smell in a supermarket. Not always coming from an actual bakery. You walk in thinking you're in control. You're navigating a system built by psychologists, and it's been tuned over decades to extract as much as possible from you. Third trigger, a social pressure. And this one's the hardest to talk about honestly. Rounds at the bar, group holidays, keeping up with what your friends have. Going to the expensive restaurant because that's where everyone else is going. Your brain is deeply social. For most of human history, being excluded from the group was genuinely dangerous, so it will do almost anything to maintain belonging, including spending money you don't really have. This isn't vanity. It's ancient wiring. It's just showing up at the wrong time in the wrong place. Here is what you could do, and I'll be quick because these are practical. For emotional spending, the 48-hour rule. When you feel the urge to buy something out of nowhere, wait 48 hours. If you still want it after that and you can afford it, fine. But honestly, most of the time, the emotion that caused the urge is gone and the urge goes with it. For environment, change yours before it changes you. Delete the shopping apps. Unsubscribe from every retail email. Use a list when you shop and stick to it. Put friction between you and the easy purchase. For social pressure, this one's harder. But the friends worth keeping genuinely won't care that you're being smart with money. And the ones who do care, well, that's useful information about them. Okay, this is the one I said we'd come back to. And I want to be honest about this one because I fell for it for a long time. Most of the things I bought in my 20s, I didn't actually want them. I wanted the version of myself that owned them. The watch, the car upgrade, the holidays I posted about. Not because they made my life better, because they felt like proof that I was doing all right. And I'd bet a decent amount that if you're being honest with yourself, you know exactly what I mean. Here's the science behind it. Humans constantly compare themselves to the people around them. It's called social comparison theory. A psychologist named Festinger documented it back in 1954. We do it to figure out where we stand, how safe we are, how successful we are, whether we're falling behind. In 1954, your reference group was about 150 people. Your street, your workplace, your village. Today, your reference group is the entire internet. And the entire internet is showing you its best day every single day. Nobody posts their bank statement. Nobody posts the credit card debt that paid for the holiday. Nobody posts the anxiety behind the new car. They post the car. You see the car. Your brain, running software designed for a village, registers it as someone in the tribe has more than me. And that used to mean something. That used to signal danger. So your brain generates urgency and you go shopping. Here's the thing that really made this click for me though. The people you're comparing yourself to, they're comparing themselves to people above them and spending to keep up. And those people are doing the same thing further up. It's everyone performing for everyone else. And the only people genuinely winning are the companies selling the things everyone's buying to show each other. The genuinely wealthy people I've looked into, not the ones who look rich, the ones who actually are. Almost all of them stopped caring about the external picture before they built anything real internally. That's not a coincidence. That's the pattern. What you can actually do about this: audit your feed, not eventually. This week. Unfollow anything that consistently makes you feel behind, any influencer selling a lifestyle, any account that has you reaching for your phone to browse after. Replace it with people who are building things, learning things, investing, creating. Content that makes you want to make something rather than buy something. Sounds small, it isn't. What feels normal to you shapes what you do. Change the inputs, the outputs change. Let me explain why your brain hates investing. Here is one quick scenario. I flip a coin. Heads, you win £200. Tails, you lose £100. Same coin flip. You're statistically positive. Do you take the bet? Most people say no, even though the math is obviously in your favour. That right there, that's loss aversion. And it's quietly one of the most expensive things happening in your financial life. A psychologist named Daniel Kahneman, who won the Nobel Prize for this, by the way, showed that losing money hurts about twice as much as gaining the same amount feels good. Lose £100, devastating. Win £100, Nice. Same number. Completely different emotional weight. And this shows up in investing in a way that costs ordinary people enormous amounts of money over a lifetime. Here's the typical story. Someone finally starts investing. They put money in. The market dips. As it always does at some point. Their brain registers a loss. That loss hits twice as hard as any gain they felt. They panic. They sell. They lock in the very loss they were afraid of by trying to avoid feeling it. Then the market recovers and goes higher, and they're not in it anymore. And then they tell people investing's too risky, when really, their brain turned a temporary dip into a permanent loss. It does the same thing outside investing too. Keeps people in jobs they should leave because leaving feels like losing security. Keeps people holding on to bad investments because selling makes the loss feel real. Keeps people stuck in financial habits that aren't working because changing them means admitting something went wrong. Your brain would genuinely rather stay somewhere bad than risk the feeling of losing something. Even when staying is clearly the worse option. Even when the numbers say leave, it's not irrational. It's just old wiring in a new situation. And here are 3 things that actually help with this. 1. Automate your investments and then look at them as rarely as possible. Counterintuitive, I know. But loss aversion needs something to react to. If you're checking your portfolio every day, you're giving it daily ammunition. Set it up. Walk away, check quarterly. 2nd, reframe what a dip actually means. A drop in the market is not a loss unless you sell. It's the price of the same asset going temporarily on sale. The wealthy investors who built serious money didn't panic in downturns. They got interested because they understood what a dip actually is. And 3, when you feel a financial decision building that's driven by fear of losing something, sleep on it. Genuinely. Make the decision tomorrow. Loss aversion is loudest in the moment. The morning version of you is almost always clearer. Why you think investing is dangerous. When it isn't. This is the last one. And I think this is the most important. Imagine I told you there's an account where you put money in, leave it for 30 years. And historically it grows to roughly 10 times what you put in. All you have to do is leave it alone. You do that. Obviously, that account exists. It's called a broad market index fund. And most people don't use it, or use it badly, because of something called negativity bias. Your brain is hardwired to pay more attention to bad news than good, to weight threats more than opportunities, to remember the bad thing more vividly than 10 good things. Again, useful wiring for most of human history. 1 bad mushroom kills you. 10 good days don't. Pay attention to the bad stuff. Makes sense, but in the context of your finances, it means every headline about a market crash gets filed in your brain under proof that investing is dangerous. And every year the market quietly delivers positive returns, which is most years, your brain barely notices, because steady positive progress doesn't trigger the alarm. Disaster does. So the information environment you live in, which is basically a 24-hour financial alarm system, constantly feeds your negativity bias with reasons to be scared of the one thing that would genuinely build your wealth over time. I want you to think about something for a second. The most financially successful person you personally know, not a celebrity, someone you actually know. How do you think they got there? I'd bet the answer involves doing one thing consistently for a long time while ignoring a lot of noise telling them to stop. Not perfect timing, not insider knowledge, just consistency in the face of an alarm that never fully quiets. That's available to you, right now, with whatever you have. The only thing standing between you and starting is a brain that is very loudly telling you to wait for a better moment. There isn't one. There's just now, and later. And later costs more than people realize. Let's talk about the practical stuff. Go on a financial news diet. Not zero, just significantly less. The daily noise doesn't help you make better decisions. It makes you worse at them. Check your investments quarterly. Not daily, quarterly. Actively look for the boring positive data. Go look up what the S&P 500 has returned over the last 30 years. Look at what consistent monthly investing in a simple index fund has done for ordinary people. You need to manually feed your brain the information it's systematically filtering out. And start small. If your brain is screaming that investing is scary, invest 50 quid. Or 20, not to get rich, to prove to yourself that the world doesn't end when money goes into a market. Once it doesn't end, the resistance softens, and you build from there. So that's 5 ways your brain works against your money. Dopamine that rewards wanting over having. Spending triggers built into your environment. Social comparison amplified by a phone in your pocket. Loss aversion that turns temporary dips into permanent exits. A negativity bias that makes the safest long-term strategy feel like the riskiest one. None of this is your fault. All of it is your responsibility. Because here's the honest truth. Knowing about these things doesn't make the feelings go away. You'll still get the dopamine hit from browsing. You'll still feel loss aversion when the market dips. You'll still notice what other people have. But there's a gap between the feeling firing and what you actually do next. That gap is tiny at first, but it grows every time you use it. And everything you build financially lives in that gap. And I'll leave you with this. The system wasn't designed with your financial freedom in mind. That's just true. But it also can't stop you from understanding how it works. And once you do, you start making different decisions. Not perfect ones, different ones. And different ones compound. They built the game. They wrote the rules, they own the board, but they can't stop you from learning how to play. You just did. Your move. And if you want to keep making the right ones, you know where the subscribe button is.